I have a strict policy. If a friend of mine kills somebody, I don't want to hear about it.
Dear Shandy.
Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing good.
Doing good?
Caller time.
Yeah, caller time.
Yeah.
That's what it should be called. Caller time, not caller day.
That's right.
Yeah, we're joined today for caller time by a lovely caller named Kelly. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Do you mind giving us your age, the ages of anyone in question, and your city or region, whatever you're comfortable sharing, and your story, please?
We are all in our mid to late 30s, and we are located in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
So it's a really long, complicated story. And I kind of want to break it down to kind of ensure that it doesn't get too lost. So I'm going to start with just the overarching theme of my question is, am I the asshole?
All right, well, let's start. What do you think?
Something about the build-up to that was just fantastic. Okay, yeah, let's hear all the parts.
Yeah. Okay. So the beginning parts. So it's about my cousin. Her name is Rita. And she was cheating on her husband. I actually wrote into you over half a year ago. So I don't know if you guys recall, but
I remember, and your email was too long.
I remember you saying, reminder to all of you to make it short. And I was like, yeah, she's talking about me. So yeah. So when I wrote in, I was very conflicted because I had just found out about her affair and I wanted you guys' guidance on what to do about it, whether I should kind of have her deal with it on her own, let it play out how it plays out, or should I tell her husband? And her husband's, let's call him Derek. I should let you know that Derek actually is one of my brother's really close friends. And my husband and I also consider him a friend as well. Because I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So about 2 years ago, Rita opened up to me for the first time that she was having marriage troubles with Derek. And that's when she told me that Derek had found out that she was cheating. So this is the first time. This is at the time, the first time. So the one that the question I'm writing in about, it's her second time cheating.
Okay. It was her cheating. He wasn't cheating, correct?
No, he wasn't cheating. So he caught her with some text messages between her and her coworker. Let's call him Jared.
Okay.
Yeah, she was being really vulnerable. So I just wanted to support her in however many ways I can. At the time, the way she presented it made it seem like they were having marriage troubles, but she is leaning towards separating from her husband and possibly pursuing something with Jared. I'm not too sure about that, but that was my understanding. At the time, I just wanted to support her. I just felt like she just needed a lot of encouragement to do what's best for her. She expressed there are a lot of issues with communicating with her and her husband. She even said herself she did not feel like they were compatible. They had different sense of humors. She felt like he didn't understand him as well. And she was also comparing her relationship to Jared as well too.
Okay.
And just felt like he was a better fit humor-wise, personality-wise too, as well. I was really, really surprised when a couple months later, because in my mind I was like, okay, she's maybe considering divorcing from her husband. Let me just be there for her. But a couple months later, she tells me that she's pregnant. And so I was really shocked. I was like, okay, do I congratulate you? But she was like, no.
That's a good point. That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but she was like, no. Yeah, we've been trying. I didn't know that they were trying, but apparently they were trying, and her and her husband. And so they were trying to work on their marriage as well. And so I was like, okay, all right. But soon after that, she suffered a miscarriage. And so that was that. But now I'm under the impression that they're now trying to work on their marriage. and stay together. There's like just a lot of conversations back and forth because it seems like she was working, like they were going through marriage counseling, but she keeps coming back to feeling like she just has an over a better connection with Jared. Like I wasn't very keen on how much she was in communicating with Jared because I thought she was more focusing on her marriage until I later found out that she lied to Derek about going to a concert with me, using me as an excuse to go with Jared.
To the concert, the same concert?
The concert with Jared, yeah. Yeah, so...
Andy's been you in this situation, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You could see him shaking his head.
I mean, at least check in so I like have a heads up, do I so that I can agree to this or not?
Yeah.
But
or you could protect her with a good alibi.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get questions asked and you'll be like, what? I was never at a concert. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, the thing is like I remember frantically receiving a text from her because she was under the impression I was going to go see them that day, but I wasn't. But she was like frantically texting me like, hey, by the way, I had told Derek that I was going to go to a concert with you on Wednesday or something like that. I'm like, what? Okay. And then later on, I found out, she was going to the concert with Jared. So she didn't even give me the full information when she told me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like withholding of information, like manipulation and all that stuff going on. Okay. Anyway, so that was that. But like the final straw for me was when we went on like a girls' trip. It was like me, her, and like our mutual friend. And on that girls' trip during dinner, she FaceTimed Jared in front of like all of us. And so this was the first time I was seeing like Jared, and I was making the connection that like, oh, this isn't just like a little text here or there. Like they were full on like having FaceTime calls, And she has mentioned that she's met up with Jared a couple times too. So it's like,
I mean, this is what she's telling you too. I feel like a couple times is probably way more than a couple times.
Yeah.
So how long would you say then that the Jared specific affair has been going on?
Oh my God. I want to say like when they were married in like they got married in 2017. And so I think it started around that time because I remember she telling me she took, a solo trip international. And it was for her to figure out her feelings between Jared and Derek, who she just married. And she told me that she left that international trip with the conclusion that she was in love with Jared and that I don't know if she was going to pursue to break up with Derek, but that's also the same time she found out she was pregnant with her first kid. And so they do also have a kid together, by the way.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. They have a kid. And it's just so I'm totally clear. You had said that this is the second time she had cheated on Derek, correct? Is that with someone else or is it the second time with Jared?
This is the same time. I want to say second time in terms of like being caught.
Oh.
So like first time Derek caught her and now this time we're kind of confronting her and catching her.
And Derek caught her it was the same guy.
Same guy. Yeah, this is all the same guy.
And I mean, 2017, 2018, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I want to say that he caught her in like 2021, earlier that year in 2021. It's when he had caught the text messages.
Okay. So this has been going...
counseling. Yeah.
This has been going on
for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, he did ended up, calling her out on that concert lie, but she just further lied and just gaslit him and made him believe that no, it was really me. But
what did you do? You just stayed silent?
No, I don't. I'm not really in communication with Derek, so I just kind of stayed silent. I did ended up later on calling her out on it and told her I didn't appreciate that, but that was kind of at the tail end of like, you should really come clean to Derek about everything, including the concert lie.
Okay, so you said this to her. How long ago?
Yeah. Well, let me kind of backtrack a little bit too.
Sorry.
Let me backtrack to when I wrote into you guys, because that's when I was like in the heat of like the middle of like, I've attempted to like encourage Rita to come clean to Derek. And so I wrote into you asking for guidance, but I think I actually got a little bit more clarity as well too when I wrote in. as to what I should do. And I felt in my heart that like Derek really deserves to know, like he's going through marriage counseling. He's considering expanding their family. I think he deserves to know so that he can make the right choices for himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how to go about that. That's what kind of made me write into you guys. I think my plan A though was to best case scenario, have Rita like come clean to Derek. And so I met up with Rita. I confronted her. I point blank asked her, "Are you aware that you're still having an affair?" And then she tells me, like with a switch, she goes, yeah, I know. I'm going to cut it off. I'm not going to talk to Jared anymore. And that was that. And I was like, are you sure? Like, what are the context?
So just so I'm abundantly clear, this was when you first wrote into us, which according to my own memory was November.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah,
okay.
Around that time. Yeah. So November of last year. And so she told me she was going to cut it off. She calls me 2 days later telling me that she actually talked to Jared. And so it became clear to me that it wasn't just like, you know, a cut off and cut clean type situation. And it's also conjured like just a lot more dishonesty and lies that I was feeling from her as well. And so we continued to have this back and forth. She told me she was going to come clean to Derek. She initially said she would, but at the end of November, she said, never mind, I'm not going to come clean to Derek.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I can see why you felt inspired to write in then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So can you bring us up to present day then?
So actually not quite present day yet, because Derek had texted my husband like December to hang out.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We just turned a page.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, this is the opportunity. If we were going to maybe give him some sort of a hint, like it should be now. And at this time, my husband also knew about it. So he knew in good conscience that he could not just hang out with Derek with knowing what he knew. And so he texted back to Derek, basically alluding to the fact that, hey, you need to talk to Rita, basically alluding to an affair. Yeah.
Wow.
And so he went silent. Derek went silent. So I figured, okay, either he is embarrassed, doesn't want to text back, or he already knew about the affair and that he doesn't want to talk to us.
Okay, just so I'm clear, this happened via text. Your husband texted Derek to say you should talk to your wife?
Basically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he didn't hear back?
Nope. Derek did not text back. Yeah. And so, I mean, about a month later, I did check in with my brother, because they're all in like a fantasy football game thing. And Derek was very active about sending emails every week. My husband had said that he had stopped receiving emails from Derek. So we're like, okay, maybe he's excluding my husband, or he's actually just stopped sending these emails. So I checked in with my brother. He said, no, I haven't been receiving those emails too. So at that point, I decided I need to tell my brother the whole situation, so that at least if Derek is going through something, my brother can also be a support for him. And so my brother ended up checking in with Derek. And at that point, we finally confirmed that, yes, Derek is aware now of the second time affair, and that he thinks they're separating, but also still trying to work on marriage. And this was back in February of this year.
Okay.
Okay. Now fast forward. Now I'm going to catch you guys up to date with present time. We've had no contact at all this whole entire whole half a year.
You and your cousin. Okay.
My cousin. Yeah. Aside from like an awkward run-in at my brother and his wife's baby shower, Derek waved hi to me, and then he chit-chatted with my husband for a little bit, but Rita and I just avoided each other completely.
And they were there together.
They were there together. However, you can see that they were kind of just really far from each other, though. They were not really together. They came together with their son. Present time, I receive a text from Rita, finally, after over half a year. And it was a really weird text. And it wasn't what I expected, because the last text I sent to her was basically saying my piece about the whole situation and that I think she should come clean to Derek. She completely just ignored that text and ghosted me. So over half a year later, she texted me, and this is what she says. My only intention of texting you is seeing if you're okay, because I'm 99% sure I saw you on the side of the freeway on your phone due to a car crash. And that was it. And that was not me, by the way. That person was not me.
I just think it's funny that if she was 99.9% sure it was you, why didn't she pull over to check?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, can't be bothered.
Or why didn't you just confirm first too? So, so that's my question. Like, am I the asshole? Did I go about this right? I don't know. I've lost so much sleep about this because, like, I don't want to be the reason to break up a marriage. I don't want to be the reason to break up a family. But at the same time, like, I just thought, because I have 2 kids, I just think if he was going to stay in this, like, he deserves to know.
So your question is, should I have played this differently? Was I wrong?
Yes. And also, maybe stupid question, should I text her back?
Yeah, why didn't you stop for me? Sharleen, remember when you were a kid and you used to get so much joy and wonder from looking in your mailbox?
Yes. I remember being a kid and wanting more than anything to grow up so I could have my own mailbox with my own name on it.
Now, when I walk past the mailbox, I literally avoid it. I don't even open it. I'm like, oh, there's probably mail in there, but I don't want to see it.
Totally. As you get older, you realize that the mailbox is a place of dread, but no longer with something fab, something fit, something fun.
Wait, fun and fit?
FabFitFun is truly the ultimate brand that we never in a million years would have thought we would agree to advertise on Dear Shandy.
I mean, full disclosure, I think we may have made fun of it a couple times.
Oh, when it came across the Dear Shandy desk, we were like, okay. And I will admit that is partly because I had never actually tried it. Again, we were leaning hard no. And then we had such an amazingly good experience that I am now a customer moving forward, and I would recommend it to everyone, which is why we are advertising them right now. It gave me so much joy. Like, you can hear me getting excited. It was such a good deal. So we got 6 items in this box, okay? And one item alone, there was a Murad face cream that retails for $79. That one item right there, before you even add on the other 5 items, which were all useful and which I got to select. One item already was more than that entire box cost.
And by the way, this wasn't just some $80 item. This was an $80 item that you had really wanted, but you didn't buy because you felt it was a little too expensive.
Yes, I had seen it at my local, what do we call
Fosora.
it? Fosora. I'd seen it at our local Fosora and thought, I want to try that cream, but $80 is really steep for a face cream.
Yeah, imagine if you went to your local Fosora and the salesperson came up to you, Sharleen, and was like, you know what? We're going to give you $20 off on that Murad face cream. I've watched you look at it a few times. And also, today only, just because you're so sweet, we're going to give you a couple $100 of free stuff that you want in addition. You know what this is? This is a hack. Everyone should be doing this. It's a total hack.
Total hack. And that brings us back to the mailbox thing. When I got that FabFitFun box in the mail,
it was Christmas morning, except usually Christmas morning is you being disappointed in my gifts.
So sign up at fabfitfun.com/dearshandy, customize your box, and get access to discounts up to 70% off brands like
Fenty, Free People, and Our Place, to name a few.
And if you're not in love with that season's options, you can take the credit to shop their exclusive flash sales of up to 70% off all the biggest name brands out there.
And if you join FabFitFun as a new seasonal member right now, you'll also get 20% off your membership.
Meaning your first box is only $47.99 for up to a $300 value box each season.
But only while supplies last, because FabFitFun boxes sell out.
Join FabFitFun today and save at fabfitfun.com/dearshandy, fabfitfun.com/dearshandy.
Wow, that's intense. A lot of moving parts in this one, but I really think the answer is really quite simple.
Yeah.
Andy's.
I mean, you're not an asshole.
No.
If anything, you should have been more of an asshole.
Yeah, I think that you could have even gone into ultimatum territory in November when it was like, you tell him or I'm going to, because I don't want to keep up this facade for you. I find that I'm almost more interested in how apologetic you seem to feel about your feelings around this, because it's so obvious that you were put in a position that no one should be put in, which is to say a position of needing to lie with someone who's not just an acquaintance.
I think I feel apologetic because the mutual friend that also knows about the situation, them both were kind of making me feel like like I was not, like I was wrong in my standing up for my morals and values.
Okay.
Like,
I know what you're talking about, because there are two types of girlfriends in this world. There's the ones who will judge you for cheating, and I don't want to say judge, but who have a hard time being put in that position. And then there's the friends who don't. And I say that as having been both of those friends and also having friends like that, if that makes sense. Some friends are going to be like, you shouldn't cheat, that's bad. They're the Charlotte from Sex and the City versus this, the Samantha who's like, you had your reasons. So what I want you to focus on is more like your sense of what you think is right and wrong. And you also have a relationship with her that I assume this mutual friend doesn't have, which is to say this is your cousin. And her husband is very close with your brother and friends with your husband. I don't know how entrenched this mutual friend is, but it's a hell of a lot easier to be like, oh yeah, like find yourself, girl. Who cares about your husband as long as you're happy? It's a lot easier to be like that when you don't have to lie on, a semi-regular basis. Am I on to anything? Like, is the mutual friend?
That's spot on. I think, at the end of the day, I was trying to do what was best for me. And I was thinking about my relationship with my husband and my brother and all that. And that's why I did what I did.
Yeah. Well, and to say you did what you did. I mean, you told your husband, which, let's be honest, 99.999% of people would do in this situation, especially when the husband of the cousin is friends with said husband. So that's number one.
That's nothing.
If anything, it sounds like you're apologizing for your husband having texted Derek about it, which isn't even like, he kind of did the dirty work for you, if I'm honest. And frankly, we generally with this topic tend to feel like don't get involved, loose lips sink ships. Like everyone's an adult here. Hopefully this will sort itself out. This has been going on for almost 5 years, maybe a full 5 years. Like this, we're going to call a spade here. Your cousin is this is not fair. This is not fair what she's doing to her husband.
But I also think that she might want to get caught. I mean, she's acting in a way where she's just putting it all out there, almost begging somebody to blow her cover. Like she wants to sabotage your marriage. So it's not in your court to even think about whether you're at blame or at fault.
Also, what does it tell you that when you tell her how uncomfortable it makes you to be put in this position back in November, she doesn't even say, yeah, that is pretty shitty. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. She just doesn't reply and yet uses you as much as she can. She's your alibi when she's going to a concert with her lover. It's so black and white to me that you've done nothing wrong in this situation that I'm perturbed by how perturbed you are.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
She talked about her, we come from an Asian background, and so divorce is very frowned upon. And so she's just talked about, oh my God, my parents are just going to disown me. Like they would not talk to me anymore. And then also like stability of her whole, I guess, life. Because, they have a house, they have a kid, it's, has a stable job. And so all of that dynamic will change. And so.
Well, but let's observe the latest, I think it was a baby shower you saw her at. She was there with her husband. I know they might not have been hand in hand, but they were there with their child. They arrived together and he found out a while ago now. I think you certainly don't need to get any more involved than you already have been. Not to say that you ever wanted to be. You were put in that position. But some people forgive their partners for these things and some people don't. And the fact that he found out and they were still at that shower together, they're working on things. You got to just I think you got to let this go. Let this go for your conscience. Let it go for, let them sort out their own crap. And for her text, should we get to the text? Do you have anything else you want to add before we move on to the text?
No, I just think this is sort of not really a thing. I don't think that you've done almost not enough, I would say. Mm-hmm. I would say the only thing that's holding me back from saying you should have done more is the saying blood is thicker than water. So, you're protecting your family. But are you even really protecting your family? her kids are probably going to have a worse life if they're together than if they're apart, based on the way this relationship is going. The model that they're seeing is a very unstable and unhealthy relationship. So maybe better to pull the Band-Aid off now than later, but there's absolutely nothing you did wrong. Telling your husband, as Sharleen said, is what everyone would have done. No one would have concealed that information from their spouse. Nobody. So
almost nobody.
Really? Is there somebody who would have? I don't know. I don't know that person.
I can't think of many people who would not have told their husband in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've done nothing wrong. And I think that, you should not live in fear of covering your own tracks because of your friend's sloppiness. I think you just live your life. And if someone says you were at a concert and you weren't at that concert, I don't think you should even think about it. You should be like, well, if someone asked me, I'm just going to say I wasn't at a concert.
Yeah, especially if she doesn't give you a heads up.
Yeah. You don't protect her. I'm saying it's one thing, like you're asking if you're an asshole for telling your husband. I guess really that's your only foul, right?
Yep.
Unless I missed something.
Yeah, for telling her husband.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So
but notice how your husband's not calling in wondering if
he doesn't think he's an asshole.
Yeah.
So, and he, if anything, he's one notch above you in the asshole hierarchy. So I think that you are definitely not an asshole. And I don't think this is an am I an asshole question. I think the question is, what's the right thing to do? And I think that you did some of the right thing by telling your husband, but I think that the second right thing to do is to act in a way that doesn't support her decision-making here. So don't cover for her. Don't worry about it. Let her screw up her life if she wants to. But at this point, she's beyond help. She's going to make her own decisions.
Yeah.
Just don't stress about it. Don't go out of your way to blow her cover. Don't go out of your way to get involved. As a matter of fact, she doesn't deserve you getting involved in that proactive a way. Just sit back, live your life, forget about this. She made her mess. Let her fix it.
Yeah,
I agree. I feel like it already, you haven't been talking to her all this time. Maybe it's, even though I think it was bad form for her to ghost you under those circumstances, it really tells you a lot. And just because she's your cousin doesn't mean that you need to start bending over backwards or like doing things that you feel go against your beliefs or your morals.
Yeah. It's bad juju is what she's bringing into your life. She brings, from what I've heard, you obviously haven't talked about all the good times you've had with her, if there are some, but she doesn't bring anything but bad energy into your life. So what are you getting out of this? Just because she's technically related to you, like, slightly. Cousins is weak. It's a weak bond, but it depends what kind of family you're from. But yeah, you don't owe her anything, and she's taking from you, and you're allowing her to take from you by being engaged with this. You're calling into a podcast. I'm sure you have better things to do today with your husband or your kids. I think I may have seen your husband walking in the background.
Yeah, he walked by with a package.
Yeah, he's doing some grocery shopping. Good man. But I think just sort of absolve yourself of this. It's not your problem.
Certainly, if this really is about am I the asshole, if this is about guilt you harbor, you can consider this your...
Yeah.
Shandy is giving you permission to let it go.
Yes.
Do not feel any more. So let's move on to the text. Question. Do you miss her in your life?
No, not at all. Like, not one bit. I do not miss her. I do not want to reply to the text. I think if you guys have told me to reply to the text, I don't think I would have replied to the text.
I think that's the most not replyable to text I've ever heard.
Here's the thing is I never like the idea of like keeping bad blood alive, but that text, everything about that text irks me. The sole reason I'm texting you is to check in on you, because I'm 99.9% sure I saw you on the side of the freeway in a car accident. So it's like she's trying to get brownie points for checking in on you, but she's not really, because if she really had checked in on you, she would have pulled over. It almost feels like she's trying to not take any responsibility and somehow be the good guy while reopening the lines of communication. You
don't owe her anything, and you owe it to yourself to just not engage with her.
Just so you know, I feel like when you reach a point in life where you're all adults, and certainly at my point in my life, there are friends who've gotten married and divorced and then married and maybe possibly divorced again. You know, like life moves on and not everyone gets married at 25 or 30 and just, you know, happy forever. And I have one particular girlfriend who had quite the history of infidelity in her marriages. And in my case, I was removed enough from the situation where it didn't haunt me because I never really knew the guys that well. I didn't need to engage with them. They certainly weren't friends with my husband, that sort of thing. But I know a mutual friend who was put in that position where they were in the same circles. They had to go to the same social events all the time. Her husband was had become friends with the husband who was being cheated on. And she had a big problem with that. And that ultimately, just to fast forward and make this long story a short one, over the course of several years, that ended up being the reason why they're not friends anymore. Because the friend felt like it wasn't fair to her, and it was, you know, it just felt very selfish on there's a friend, on friend number one's part to do that to friend number two. So I wouldn't see this as being necessarily this bad thing that happened. It is actually probably more common than you realize.
I think it is more common than she realizes.
So I guess this is our way of saying we don't think you need to text back.
No. Unless you really, really, really like her and really want to have her in your life a lot.
She made it pretty clear. She's shaking her head. You know, look at it this way. Sorry?
I do want to like tag on though some more questions if that's okay. Not about her though, but it's more about the mutual friend, because I feel more of like a loss, like a huge loss from that friend.
Wait, why?
Because, well, it's very clear that like she sided with Rita and that she's not communicating with me, like she's ghosted me because she doesn't agree with what I did.
But what did you do?
You told
what did
your
you
husband?
do?
She didn't agree that I felt so passionate about telling Derek. She didn't agree with that. She just felt like I should have just supported Rita and just let her do her own thing and stay out of it, basically.
The thing is, you didn't tell Derek.
I didn't tell Derek, but I was very passionate about Rita coming clean to Derek.
Right.
And
it was like a political difference.
Yeah, but like even that, like I said, we're normally very like, don't get involved. But in this case, this was going on for almost 5 years. I agree with Andy that she wanted to get caught.
Yeah.
Something like this coming to a head just needs the husband, you know, dropping a text. The fact that they are still together somewhat, you do not need to harbor any more guilt. And if the mutual friend is going to drop you over that, she was always more so Rita's friend.
Yeah, that's what I kind of come to the realization too, that the hierarchy of our friendship wasn't what I thought it was. You know, she was.
Yeah, but that's
how
also.
it played out, we were more closer.
It also doesn't carry the weight of ending a friendship. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes as much as possible and try to create the scenario amongst my friends. And I'm just thinking, if someone defriended me for that belief, not even the action, just the belief, I would be like, that's good. I never should have had them as a friend in the first place.
I agree.
It doesn't rise to the level of defriending. It's ridiculous. If you went out and told Derek at a party, you'd be like, I have an announcement to make, you know, ding, 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 ding. She's cheating on you. That's maybe, you know, it might sour some friendships, but even that, I don't know.
I think you're going to realize that time is going to heal all the wounds here, whether that means that they stay together or they don't. And I think part of you is hurting because Derek hasn't ever reached back out to your husband, right?
No, and he hasn't reached out to, either one of us.
You guys sound like you were kind of screwed in this situation. Like you really...
Yeah. You're collateral damage.
Yes.
For her choices, for Rita's choices, which is all the more reason why you, out of spite alone, shouldn't want to be friends with her.
It's a powerful emotion.
I think you guys should just live your life and extricate yourself from this whole thing. Just carve it right out and just move on.
It certainly does not deserve the space it has been taking up in your mind. And I know I'm getting a sense of how you are, and I relate. Like, I don't like feeling like I have enemies in this world.
You know who the worst criminals are? The criminals who, in committing the crime, also hurt many other people. Like a cat burglar. You know what? If you're going to do crimes, I got no major beef with you. Cat burglar, good criminal.
And this is coming from someone who's been cat burgled.
I've been cat burglarized. And you know what? I was like, you got me. All right. Bravo. But she's committing a crime which she knew would have collateral damage and has had collateral damage. So her crime has now ended your friendship with, I forget her name, there's too many names, and has
with a mutual friend.
Ended her own friendship with you, and has caused friction between her husband and your husband, and God knows what other, I don't know, there's so many ripple effects of this. Mm-hmm. And that's a very selfish thing to do. Like, if you're going to cheat, keep it to your own problem. And if it becomes your husband's problem or vice versa, your wife's problem, then that's something you have to deal with. But don't make it the world's problem. She's FaceTiming the guy in front of a bunch of her friends.
After having told you that it wasn't going to go on. It wasn't going
to, like, she's committing a disgraceful crime.
Also try to remember that the mutual friend, I'm getting a vibe that your cousin is certainly very selfish. And I can picture her being the kind of friend who would like to have friends who rally around her and who are, quote unquote, loyal. I can picture this. Yeah. And especially if she's even one hair closer to the mutual friend than you are, it's so easy for her to paint you and your husband in a certain light, to the point where the mutual friend might even think that you did go ding, 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 ding at a party and say, by the way, I'm not sure how much of the story she has got actually straight. So I wouldn't take it too personally. Mm-hmm. I would not put it, it sounds like your cousin is very good at lying. Mm-hmm. And manipulating the situation to make her look like the good guy.
But also selfish, very selfish.
Super selfish, manipulative, all the things. You think that somehow doesn't apply to this mutual friend? Yeah. It seems very unlikely. Yeah.
She walked into the bank, guns blazing, took out the security guard, the old lady getting her cash for the week. She didn't care. She could have just taken the money at night.
Was that one cooking for the last few minutes?
Like 10 seconds.
It was a good one. I liked it. Kelly, is what we're saying what you expected us to say?
What you said was what I was hoping you would say. So it was very validating, everything that you said. So yes,
great.
Winner in my book.
We passed.
Case closed.
Yeah. And I will also admit that it was pretty clear what you wanted us to say, but that did not color our opinion. But even when you were coming in with justifying, oh, she's my cousin and he's friends with blah, 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 I would want to know. They have a child, like all this stuff. You don't need to make, I don't want to say, they're not excuses, but you don't need to justify it anymore.
No.
Please let tonight be the night that you sleep soundly.
Yeah. Stop thinking about it.
Let it go. Let it go, because throughout your life, there are going to be people that stick around and people who don't. And sure, she's blood, but that can be the extent to the role she plays in your life.
Yeah.
She does not also have to be your friend if you do not agree with her life choices, and she puts you in positions like this and then clearly doesn't give a shit how it affects you or how it makes you feel.
Yeah. Take all the time you've been thinking about her and engaging with her and put that into a hobby, a new hobby.
Into making a new friend or two.
Or a new friend.
Oh, yeah.
Good, even better.
I think ever since this all played out, I've been trying to focus more on the other friendships that I cherished.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you so much,
Good
you guys.
move. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yes. Godspeed. Just go.
Good
I
luck.
feel I want to shake you. I feel very strongly about this one. Let it go. Let it go. As they say. Yeah, let it go. You're not going to sing for us?
I mean, I knew that was in the air. I didn't want to go there.
And he felt it was beneath him.
Yeah.
Okay, Kelly, thank you so much for calling in and for trusting us and for sticking around. I know it didn't get chosen the first time because of length, and I'm so glad you stuck it out and that we got an up-to-date version. And I feel, honestly, even more strongly now than I would have felt then. Yeah. So I think you got a better answer.
I think I did too. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, man. That one got me worked up. Isn't it funny how there are people out there who can cheat on their partner pretty unapologetically for 5 years, essentially, and not feel bad about it. Clearly. I mean, I have to imagine she doesn't feel bad about it.
No, I actually think she was hoping it would end her marriage.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then there are people like Kelly who are losing sleep over the role that she was forced to play in all this, that it's like she hardly even moved one pawn. Her telling her husband was moving one pawn. Yeah. And then maybe her telling Rita how she felt. I mean, that wasn't even a move.
It's the food pyramid of terrible choices.
How? I look forward to this.
No, I'm saying at the top, you have the person who makes a bad choice and doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then the pyramid just keeps getting wider of people who are affected or bothered or occupied by the choice they've made.
Wow, that actually really, really worked.
Thank you.
Nicely done. It's true. For her, it's just, a selfish choice. Okay. And I understand if she's having a hard time in her marriage. That's the thing. I feel like Kelly is like, what should I have done sooner? Should I have noticed something sooner? Should I have done something different sooner? I can see why in the beginning she was like, well, it's my cousin. She's having a hard time in her marriage. Yeah. I'm not going to get involved. She's going to find herself, blah, blah, blah. There comes a point. It's 5 years. I'm sorry. It's like, fool me once. How many times is this going to happen before she's not to blame?
Well, that's the thing. It's an aggressive act. Like, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes as much as possible. I'm thinking of my cousins, if they did this to me, my friends. Like, I'm really trying to put myself there. And it is a little different for guys. It's a little bit of a double standard.
Oh, you think so?
Slightly different.
Wait, how?
I think it's less frowned upon. And I mean by a shade. When guys are like, bragging about some girl that's on the side.
I think it depends on the friend group and the dynamic.
Totally.
Because
absolutely.
I have girlfriends who would feel like, don't tell me, I don't want to know, I don't want to have to lie on your behalf. Yeah. And then other friends who are like,
it's a shade.
Yeah.
It's a shade. It's like 52-48.
Sure.
But I'm thinking of it. And the way I would see it is I would disconnect from that person. I wouldn't blow their cover. I wouldn't go to their spouse and tell them what's happening. I wouldn't start spreading rumors. I would just disconnect. I'd be like, you're acting in a way that's very unusual, making me uncomfortable and very selfish. And I'm going to let you have that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be my thing.
Yeah.
I would just disconnect. But, that's the thing, is that even if it's family, unless it's like the closest family, like it's your sister or brother or your mother or father, like it's really just not important enough. It's just like, who cares if it's family? Cousins, honestly, there comes a point where you got to draw the line. There's like A level family and B and then C level. It can't everything. If some guy's like your 17th cousin 18 times removed, you have to worry about them.
Okay, so what you're saying is cousin falls into the B tier.
Yeah, it's a B tier. It's a B tier family. It's a lower budget family.
For me, a lot of this comes down to the proximity that Kelly and her husband are in this situation and how long it's been going on for. Yeah. It's no longer we're on the verge of getting divorced and I'm considering leaving my husband for this man. It's like, oh, this is just an ongoing thing, and I have no intention of telling my husband.
This is steady state. This is permanence.
Yeah.
This is what my life is now.
And the proximity thing, I really must stress. They're in the same place. They're cousins. Their families are intertwined. Yeah. I think if she lived across the country, she wasn't close with the husband, and her husband wasn't close with the husband. That's different, honestly. That's what has saved me in the past when I've been like, I don't know if I agree with your choices, but I never need to see anyone. So it's like, you figure out, you do you, like friends, we're friends first. And like, hopefully you come out on the other side. And you know what? More often than not, it does solve itself.
Yeah, it does.
Whether it ends in divorce or whether they end up making their marriage work.
Look, I have a strict policy. If a friend of mine kills somebody, I don't want to hear about it.
Yes.
That's what a friend is. A friend is not the guy who comes to you and says, it was an accident. I got a little rough, but something happened and I don't know. That's not a friend.
No.
The friend doesn't come to you. The friend deals with that on their own.
Yeah.
They go to the police station to say, put me in cuffs.
Yeah.
I screwed up.
I mean, this one is so black and white. Honestly, I kept waiting for a chapter of that story to reveal why this was a gray area.
There's no asshole. This was not am I the asshole?
No, I kept waiting for it to be like, and then finally I did this. And I was like, oh, okay. It never happened.
There is no asshole there. This is a Ken doll.
good. I'm curious to know if the Shandys will agree on this one.
I think they will.
It's hard to imagine
They'll be split. They'll always be. There's a lot of people who are really like family first. Like that's it. It's family ride or die.
Yeah.
So that's what happens.
Yeah. Many people might not consider a cousin B tier, Andy.
I hope my cousins aren't listening to this.
All right. I think we can wrap there. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok.
Leave us Apple and
Spotify.
Podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.